From planarianism to the beaver whisper, all the way to grief and growth, and with the one connection with nature, kind of binding it all. So I want to bring up three of our stars today. Stacy Bare with Silk Ride, round of applause for him. Amanda Prifti, are you here? For Solace. And Jess Kimera. Yeah, Learning to Drown. Come on up here, you guys. This is reminiscent of the old quarter pipe, the old DH stage. Super comfortable. Do we want to stand? Okay. All right. So, incredible films. I want to start with Amanda. The one kind of connective tissue I talk about, just the power of what the ocean can be, and kind of take us through the experience with Sri Lanka and how that is just kind of what the process was like and what it did for you.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for having me here. So my film Solace was my first film. So I discovered surfing in Sri Lanka 3 years ago, and then COVID hit, and I was in Sri Lanka as kind of an expat living in a community where, you're a foreigner basically, and it was a really uncertain time, and no one knew what COVID and everything that would come after. So I decided to stay in Sri Lanka, and a lot of people kind of went back to their home countries, and there was a moment where you kind of had to decide if you were going to stay or if you were going to go back into this unknown. I use filmmaking as a way to express the experience and just make sense of it for myself. And the love of the ocean and the environment there was really the only stable component that you had in such an unknown chapter. It was really kind of healing and a lot of power in doing a film like that.
And can I ask you about the script? It was such a beautiful voiceover and just kind of leading us through the film.
I wrote the script alongside Aaron, who's the star of the film here as well.
What's up, Aaron? Aloha.
And we co-wrote it, basically just our experience, and we didn't know what the film was going to be when we first set out to just kind of play with filmmaking, and it poured out of us, and we kind of refined it over a couple weeks as we were just reflecting, and we'd go out surfing, film a bit, and then get home and think about kind of all the things that came up in the day, and the script just poured out of us.
Speaking of surfing, I want to talk to the Queen of the Cape here of Nine Palms. No, may I say, Jess, you were getting some bombs there, which is, no, am I right? She was getting some bombs at Nine Palms.
Did you guys check that slow motion squat?
There was one, I'm telling you one, and you're trimming up and you're taking the high line, you're coming back down.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
Don't be a dick
Thank you.
face.
No. Yeah, I do not want to be a dick face.
Is that guy in
the kook
here,
of the
by
day?
way?
Yeah. Clearly.
He's a Newport Beach surfer.
Yeah, without a doubt. But it goes without saying, I mean, to lay yourself out there in the film, I mean, I followed your career. I don't know what to dive into first, but I think most importantly, it's your willingness to put yourself out there. How difficult was that? I know you, in a professional way, you have that persona, how everyone saw you, and that inspiration that you gave to women. But where did you get the courage, totally different type of courage, to lay yourself out there the way you did in this film?
I think when I first decided to do it, I was just like already broken open and just wanted to do something with it, and try to find something good to come out of it. And then as far as having the balls to open up in the film, it was just one interview we shot on one day, and then I didn't see anything until the movie came out. It was just supposed to be a really short 10-minute YouTube thing, and then
was it something where oops. No, but if you could talk about the team, it's one of those, you completely entrusted, okay, I laid myself out there, do what you want with it, or was it that you were involved in the post process where you're like, oh, that
at all.
Wow.
Until I saw it.
That is ballsy. That is.
So it wasn't like I had to keep being courageous throughout. I just like totally opened up during the interview and didn't even remember what I said after. And then it came out and I was like, oh, that's what I said.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? I guess leaning on the fact that you do feel and have felt for quite some time the weight of all these female snowboarders and what they expect of you, and you're in those dark moments, and that's pushing you, but that's also the loss, the grief that's pushing you. So maybe how you reconcile the two and find what you call the light. Yeah.
Well, one thing I've struggled with this film is it coming across like I figured it out, and I felt kind of like a fraud sometimes because I'm still struggling, and we all are still struggling. And things go up and things go down, but I think like when I see it, I'm like, yeah, get your ass back up. You could do this, you know? But on my own, I just feel like a normal drowning person.
I think that's the beauty of so many of the films that we're seeing here this week is I don't think you were claiming in any way. I think you openly said, yeah, I'm flawed, but I found a route that allows me to navigate troubling waters. And that gets me to Stacy, because I know you know a thing or two about difficult waters. I love, so Stacy, this is his second Coast Film Festival, right? So he's a veteran of Coast Film Festival, also a veteran, by the way. But I want to talk about Kyrgyzstan. I love the point in the film where you talk about this isn't a region where you go and you meet the majority of the people have so much love to give, are so open. And, you know, in your experiences, you have two relationships with these places, right? The relationship as, you know, a soldier, and then you go back as someone that's putting on a free ride event. I remember when I heard about the free ride event, like, you're out of your mind.
Yeah, well, yeah, he actually told me that. Yeah, so first of all, like, I do a lot of work professionally in mental health, so thanks for coming to our group therapy session tonight. I drove a forklift through the pandemic. It would have been a really different film. And we were all just bawling during your film. I have some buddies over here who want to, you know, we have some wartime experiences as well. And I just want to thank both of you all for just really putting it out there. You and I met years ago. I don't know if you remember that, when I was on the North Face team. But like, holy shit. Like, thank you so much for just like reaching in and ripping my heart out and just both of you for just breaking all these barnacles off it and then giving me a hug on screen. That was awesome. So
Throwing a dildo.
Yeah. I mean, thank you for breaking the chains of my heart with a giant rubber dildo. That was just
I hear that often.
Yeah.
such a beautiful, we'll make that cartoon. Yeah, I mean, I used to kick down doors and make kids cry as a soldier. And so a lot of my journey is through Adventure Not War, which is a little production company. And we shot a film, hopefully it'll be out in 2019 in Afghanistan. And it's not out for a variety of reasons. If you don't know why, I can talk to you about what happened in August. And the Afghans, Gul Hussein and Ali Shahzad, said, what are you going to do to help Afghanistan? And they weren't asking in a rude way. They were just like, okay, you've been here. What are you going to do next? And Silk Road, that's what Silk Ride is. And we had hoped to be in Kosovo, and then the pandemic happened. So kind of like you, I mean, you know, when the pandemic happened, I remember Max that called me, and he was like, Kyrgyzstan's borders are still open. Why don't you bring your family over here and just ride it out with us, you know? And because you can't, like, I've been, as a non-soldier, I've been, as you know, from Palestine all the way back to Afghanistan, and you just can't trip without getting fed and held and hugged on the Silk Road. It's just such a wonderful place, and so it was really fun to go back. And the Kyrgyz keep doing it, and there's another. You can go now if you want to travel in January, and then we're going to continue to do those type of trips. And through my other company, Happy Grizzly Adventures, we're hoping to add a little some intention and integration so that when people go on these trips and have the big emotions, that we're there to help provide insight for what those can do and how you can change your life as you come out of these trips.
And you touched on it in the film real briefly, but just how quickly those barriers come down when there's sport involved, right? I mean, you're talking just textbook, oh, this country hates this country, but you wouldn't know it. Right?
No, not at all. And I don't pass, right? There's no country in the world really other than like Norway where they're like, oh, maybe that guy's a local. Like even in America, people are like, fuck, Bigfoot had a kid. There
You're even big for a Viking. You're even big for a Viking.
Like even in Norway, they're like, he's tall. Yeah, it was just such an incredible experience in Kyrgyzstan and working with the people that we got to work with and we got to be invited in. And I mean, it's true. Adventure changes everything, and it's just such a wonderful place. Central Asia is just so beautiful. Afghan's so beautiful. And people are always like, did you carry a gun? And I was like, for what? Like, when I talked to the Afghan sport minister years ago and I said, is it safe to come to Afghanistan? And he said, would you invite me to Orlando?
Good question, by the way. It kind of circles back to fear bonding and, what you experience as a soldier, but more importantly, what people experience on trips. And this brings me back to like uninvited and things that I think generations of females out there, they didn't have the same push and connection to sport. Fear bonding, you go on a AK heli trip, you're friends for life. And it's the same thing that goes
I've
into...
never been on an AK heli
Okay,
trip.
we got to change that. Well, I think you've got friends that can make that happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna invite you to go to Abkhazia on a heli trip.
yeah.
If you want to go, it'd be so cool.
Yeah. But maybe you could speak to what you experienced once you started doing stuff with these all-female movies and just the instant kind of gratification and kind of get back that you were experiencing doing that.
Yeah, I mean, people are always like, oh, it's so good of you to do this. And it's actually really selfish because I get so much out of it. And like being a pro snowboarder, you kind of feel like a douchebag sometimes because it's just, look at me, look at all the things I'm doing, promoting yourself, and being able to give back kind of makes you feel more, that sounds so cliche, but it just like gives some meaning to something that you're always kind of worried, like, am I just on this free ride and not doing anything to contribute, So there's that, and then just meeting those girls, and you don't even have to talk. Like, we just look at each other and we know, like, why would you throw yourself down stair sets and then have people be like, you suck at throwing yourself down that stair set? Why would you keep going? And there's something in that, this kind of kindred spirit of...
I remember when the back tell, and I remember the back and forth.
Well,
People
I thought you were making that up when you're like, I followed your career. I was like,
No,
sure you did.
I've been announcing snowboarding for a long time, and I'll be a fan of snowboarding, and and I've always had, I think, countless of discussions about women in sport. I mean, even going back to like Cara Beth Burnside, and then you get to say Tora Bright, and okay, she's doing switch in this, and you're always having questions like, why aren't the women going higher? It's not a strength thing in half pipe. And then every now and then you would have someone kind of step out and lead the way, but you did it to a level that was unquestionable, and it changed. I believe it was a new barometer, and I'm just saying that. I'm telling you, she deserves a lot of... So, so being a first-time filmmaker, you've been here at the Coast Film Festival. What do you take away from the experience? Are you in it for life? Are you committed to the cause?
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, the films today specifically were so inspiring that I'm really, really excited to work on more projects and just keep making films and telling stories of people doing things that inspire other people. And also just giving emotion through film, I think, is so powerful, especially in today's world. There's so much content and so much information coming at us all the time that whether it's a 20-minute film or a 5-minute film, just to have something that really delivers a message is really powerful. Yeah. So,
I think it's one of the things that continues to bubble up through these films is that connection to sport and nature. It is the ultimate microdose for mental health. I mean, I think we all can agree on that. Permission to pontificate.
Yeah. I mean, so that's a lot of my work is around the therapeutic engagement in the outdoors, and I work with a lot of people who have also done microdosing in the outdoors, and we really firmly believe that, if you do use, for example, psychedelics, if you use that kind of drug for, healing work, it's around setting and intention. And we firmly believe no judgment if that's how you want to go at all, but time in the outdoors can have the same, if not a more psychedelic experience. And that's nothing against those experiences at all. It's just to say that that's a natural part of how you're supposed to be living your life.
Agreed. Yeah. Well, I hope you guys are going to be hanging out for. We've got more incredible films in the second block, and then moving into tonight. You do not want to miss the pack there. We're going to finish it off with Duke, the Duke story, Duke Hanamaku Waterman. So, how about a round of applause for our awesome humans? Thank you, sir. Bring it in. Thank you.